Welcome back to the channel. In today's aviation news recap, there is a new potential Airbus A350 order on the cards. WestJet is expanding its own route network, and Wizz Air is looking at adding hundreds of aircraft to its fleet in the future. And that's where I want to begin, as they look to expand their network rapidly following new updates from the airline's CEO. In an interview published with local media, or index.hu, which will be linked down below in the description, the CEO said that the budget airline's growth plans are well underway, despite some ongoing challenges impacting the company. If all goes according to plan, the airline wants a fleet exceeding 500 aircraft by 2030 to 2032. This would obviously be a considerable jump from the just over 200 aircraft that are currently operational, and it will reflect in more than 300 new planes coming in the next, say, 6 years. Wizz Air already has a considerable order book for next-generation Airbus aircraft, which will aid it in these ambitious targets. These aircraft are expected to be important as the airline looks to compete with existing budget carriers in what is ultimately a hotly contested market. And as best described by Ryanair only a couple of days ago, it is a market that is seeing consolidation, further growth, and a lot more therefore competition. These major budget airlines, while have a fantastic platform, need to be wary of that and build upon it in the right direction to ensure that they don't fall behind. By adding hundreds of new aircraft to the fleet in the next, say, 5 or 6 years, the airline wants to also be able to offer a staggering 1 million flights per year that'll transport more than 170 million passengers. And for reference, in 2023, they carried more than 63 million. So that again is a pretty significant jump that they're expecting. Wizz Air hasn't been afraid to order big in the last few years in a response to the resurgence of demand following the pandemic and their projected growth. Airlines such as Wizz Air know that they must order aircraft now rather than later down in the future to ensure that by the time the 2030s roll around, they do have the available assets to be able to meet all the demand and actually achieve these growth projections. We know Wizz Air are also not the only airline adopting such a similar path, and as a result, many aircraft programs are beginning to be sold out through the remainder of this decade, which means for an airline in urgent need of an aircraft, well, the leasing market is arguably their best bet. In August of 2023, the airline signed a firm contract for 75 additional A320neo family jets, and through this commitment, they became at the time the largest member of the single-aisle family, now resting at 434 units. When considering their commitment overall to the A320 family, that stands at 565. Through these aircraft purchases and eventually therefore deliveries, Wizz Air knows that there are plenty of opportunities regarding routes and bases. Having a fleet that'll tally just over 5,000 will also mean they'll be able to expand their geographic reach, and Wizz Air will look to cement itself as a force to be reckoned with. While Wizz Air is one of the European airlines battling groundings caused by the Pratt & Whitney engine saga, it continues to remain optimistic and keeps its hopes high. While it has been forced to adjust schedules and keep aircraft on the ground, also it's dealing with ongoing tensions in nearby regions, it still is expecting to see fantastic levels of demand and growth across the next decade. On to the next story, and that sits with Brussels Airlines, who are reportedly eyeing new aircraft from Airbus to overhaul their fleet and improve long-term efficiency. According to the CEO in an interview with Aero Telegraph, the carrier is currently assessing its options, but the Airbus A350 is considered to be the most optimal choice for long-haul operations, and this would put it ahead of the Boeing 787. According to their CEO, the A350 is just better suited thanks to noise restrictions being implemented at its home airport, Brussels Airport. Moreover, the A350 offers quieter night landings, making it a fantastic alternative for the company as it looks towards fleet replacement efforts. Additionally, the company knows that it needs to also replace its aging A330 fleet, and while the A330neo is, yes, the like-for-like replacement, this aircraft is out of the question. Why? Because of those higher noise levels during landing. While these concerns regarding the noise may appear to be minor, they are a big focus thanks to regulations in place launching in 2026. Brussels Airport isn't the only location that has implemented something similar, and airlines must react. Take a look at what's been happening at Amsterdam Schiphol as another fantastic example. Currently, Brussels Airlines has 7 A330-300s active with 2 listed in storage, but one of the key takeaways from this is the average age is 16.1 years, so it's definitely in need of a replacement in the near future. Away from the Airbus A350, the CEO cites the A321neo as another aircraft that the company is interested in for narrow-body renewal efforts. The carrier is not considering the A321XLR, rather just the base model. They see this as being the perfect aircraft type to help boost capacity and enhance its short-haul network. We also know that the A321neo is already immensely popular within the Lufthansa group, so if Brussels moved ahead with this aircraft type, they would see harmony across Lufthansa Group, which is obviously a big focal point when you're considering the streamlining effort not just at one company but all airlines that make up the very popular Lufthansa Group. On to the final story, and that's it with WestJet, who have unveiled plans to boost their network, expanding south to Mexico and the Caribbean with new routes. 2 new flights will launch in time for the winter 2024-2025 season and will focus really on your warm weather destinations. These routes will allow Canadians to escape the harsh winters that offered to them. Tulum in Mexico is being added to the airline network from Calgary and Toronto as part of a first service to the newly opened international. The service from Calgary is expected to operate once weekly from November 9, 2024, with service ending on April 27, 2025. Then, on the exact same dates, we will also see the Toronto service launch, and it will conclude on the same date. WestJet will also boost services to Grenada in the Caribbean as it focuses heavily on growing leisure market. Toronto to Grenada, which is still subject to regulatory approval, is slated to operate once a week from November 2 of this year. The service will end April 27th of next year. They see it as a great travel location for Canadians during these colder months, and what it also does is increase connectivity across Western Canada. Don't worry though, they won't just be venturing that far south, they're also extending their trans-border commitment towards the United States. We will be seeing some frequency increases right across the board, as well as service changes. Edmonton to Atlanta, Regina to Minneapolis will be daily and year-round. This is part of WestJet's focus on looking at Delta's hubs to extend and continue service. If you take a look at your Canadian domestic flights, well, these will also be year-round across key cities, including Winnipeg to Montreal, Edmonton to Ottawa, Edmonton to Montreal, and so on. That's going to conclude today's aviation news recap. If you have any thoughts, you know the best place to leave them is down below in the comments. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. Please take care. Do also be safe. I'll see you same place, same time tomorrow for what will be another one of these long-form aviation news recaps.
And we'll fly.